We are underway for another edition of the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. I'm your host, Taylor Kennedy. Thank you all for joining me. However you may be listening or watching this program, you can follow me on Twitter at Taylor_Kennedy7 for all the latest about this show and much more going on here across the Kanawha Valley. You can also follow the Gazette Mail Sports page on Twitter just by simply looking up Gaz, G-A-Z, Mail Sports. That's G-A-Z, Mail Sports. So you can find out what's going on, including our 40-yard dash video, our Player of the Week, which we'll get to in just 1 second. You can find what's going on each Friday night. You can find out who's going where on Friday nights. You can find our 40-yard dash video, this podcast, so much more. Our Player of the Week, which we'll get to in just 1 second, that is released every week along with this podcast as well. So we'll get to the Player of the Week here in just 1 second. Coming up after this break, we will talk with Luke Sammons, the head football coach of the undefeated Cabell Midland Knights, as they enter a great game on Friday in Putnam County against the Hurricane Redskins, which we'll talk about in our final segment, as we will talk about all of the other games involving teams in this region for Week 8 of the high school football season here in West Virginia. And we'll also talk with Coach Sammons about a few players that have caught his eye this season, so we'll do with that on the other side of this break as well. But before we go any further, let's discuss this week's Player of the Week, the HD Media and Building and Construction Trades of West Virginia Player of the Week. Rick, who is our Player of the Week this week for Week 7 of the high school football season?
Week 7, HD Media Building and Construction Trades Player of the Week is Winfield running back Kwan Pearson, who made the most of his opportunities on Friday night versus the Dots, getting things going early. Winfield's first points of the game came courtesy of this 50-yard Pearson touchdown run. The Gens came into this game looking to solidify their playoff positioning, looking for at least one home game in the postseason. And they knew that the Dots had been playing some good ball as of late, and in a county rivalry game, anything goes, so you got to stay focused, and Pearson made sure the Generals did just that here with his second touchdown run of the evening, breaking it to the outside and getting inside the pylon, and then capping things off with another long touchdown run, this one from 61 yards out. Pearson with 173 yards rushing on the evening. Winfield gets the big win over Polka, and they'll go into their Week 8 matchup with Sissonville with the reigning HD Media Building and Construction Trades Player of the Week. Congratulations to Kwan Pearson.
And there it is, Kwan Pearson, the Winfield running back with a multi-touchdown performance, earns this week's HD Media and Building and Construction Trades of West Virginia Player of the Week from Week 7 of the high school football season. Again, multi-touchdown performance, leading Winfield to a shutout victory over county rival Polka last Friday night. Speaking of football, we'll talk about our Week 8 high school football slate involving teams in this region coming up in our third segment. But on the other side of this break, we will chat and sit down with the head football coach of the undefeated Cabell Midland Knights as they will face off against the Hurricane Redskins in what should be the premier matchup of Week 8 of the high school football season. And we'll talk with Coach Sammons about that matchup and much more coming up next here on the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook.
Hi, this is JJ Roberts from Huntington, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We had that thundering herd pride at your local Parmar stores. We are over 200 stores strong and growing. Download the Parmar app for even more savings and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Whether it's food, gas, or groceries, we have you covered. We are Marshall, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
In an ever-changing world, one thing you can always count on is Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Hurricane. You know, Gene and Ryan built their business the old-fashioned way by making friends. There are no gimmicks or games at Walker, just honest, fair deals, and their method is so straightforward it may shock you. Friendly service and a huge selection of inventory with more arriving daily. When you're ready for your next vehicle, take the short 20-minute drive from Charleston or Huntington to Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just off the Hurricane exit of I-64. Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, making friends one deal at a time.
Welcome back into the Tuesday edition of the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. I'm your host, Taylor Kennedy. Thank you all for joining me. However you may be listening or watching this program, I appreciate you all rejoining me this week. We are pleased to be joined by the undefeated head coach of the Cabell Midland Knights, head coach Luke Sammons. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So let's kind of go down a couple of different avenues before we talk about your big matchup Friday evening in Putnam County. When you talk about this team, undefeated to start the season, a lot of great wins as well. When you start piecing everything together, what are you starting to see develop with this year's team? Is there a common theme that you're seeing?
Not really. I think they've gotten better each week. just from the first scrimmage to the GW game to where they're at now. I mean, they're the same team in a lot of ways, but they're a little bit, of course they've gotten better. That's why you practice. And, we played a tough schedule, so it wasn't easy to get to this point, but it's always like that. So that we embrace that. Our kids are really excited. They care about each other. They play hard together. They love each other. They want to be together. And those things still work, and that's what our program's built off of. It's not about an individual kid. It's about the team, and the kids, they believe in that. And we got a good senior class, and they've been together for a while.
When you talk about guys buying in, when you have a total team come together and you guys are buying in, how much encouragement or how much appreciation do you have for that as a head coach?
Yeah, I think every year's been like that, and that's kind of what we hang our hat on from January until now. Those kids work together every day in the weight room. You almost got perfect attendance. So they expect to win, and it's not easy with the teams we play because there's a really good teams, really good coaches. But it's a program, and that's where they're at. And these kids have been in the program for a while, and they understand that, and they believe in each other. And it's exciting to see as a coach anytime they're a close-knit group, and that matters. And to me, that's the number one thing I talk to my assistants about. Is every week, every day, it's how's he doing and all that. It's about relationships and caring about each other. And the X's and O's is kind of the easy part. It's about every day, being with them and seeing them practice, seeing them develop, and seeing them, get better.
What do you think is the next evolution for this team? Because we'll talk about the matchup on Friday, but what's the next step in you all achieving what you guys are ultimately wanting to achieve?
It's just get better. I feel like, last week, we played Musselman and won pretty convincingly, but at the same time we gave up a couple scores and, had some sloppy play. And even, you go back to Ironton, we had a chance to maybe beat them by 3 or 4 scores, instead of 2 or 3, so it's like there's some times where we didn't, finish, but at the same time they did overcome a lot. And so I think it doesn't really matter as long as they're winning. But the next step to me is just put it all together. Special teams have improved. Defense has made huge strides. Offense has done good. So we're not perfect, but I think as a coach and as a team, you're always chasing perfection. If you want to be really good, you're chasing it. And that's what keeps you going every day, developing and working hard. And so you're always chasing the perfection of being the best you can be, and you're never going to get it, so that's why I'm talking about that now, but you're never going to obtain it. But at the end of the day, you hope it's good enough, and our kids understand that, and they work hard every day and try to take care of themselves and try to do the right things every day to be perfect.
Again, we'll talk about that matchup with Hurricane here in just 1 second, but let's talk about Class AAA in its totality, because there seems to be a lot of great competition going on, especially in the top half of Class AAA. You guys are up there, Huntington's up there, especially in your all's conference. Spring Valley, they're hanging around. G-Dub, they're hanging around. There's a lot of good teams in the mix, especially for that top 16, especially the bottom half of the playoff 16. But what are you seeing? What are you seeing from this year's Class AAA field?
It's tough. It's always like that, especially with the teams that are right around here. Since I been here, football's gotten really good in a lot of ways, and there's a lot, this Friday there's college players on the field for both teams, and the next week when we play Huntington, it's going to be the same way. We got multiple D1 kids on our team, and they do too. So, it's neat to see. It's a challenge. It's good football. It's good for the area, good for the kids, but AAA is always tough. AAA football is really hard, and you got to be really good. You can't really have a lot of weaknesses. You got to play at a high level every Friday. You got to play good on special teams. You got to be good on offense and defense, and so I think AAA is good. And you even look, those teams that you mentioned that have lost a couple games, they're good football teams. Things didn't go their way, but that doesn't mean anything when they get to the playoffs. And we really don't talk about playoffs, but those teams can beat almost anybody too. So it's a challenge, but we just try to take each week one game at a time.
So let's talk about this big matchup that you guys have against Hurricane on Friday night. You guys go in there undefeated. Hurricane has 1 loss on the season. It's going to be a back-and-forth game. A lot of talent's going to be on the field, as you mentioned. What are you kind of seeing from Hurricane this season?
They're explosive. They're a good team. Got some really good kids. Anytime that's, you're playing a team like that, they can score anytime they, are on the field or touch the ball. So, we got to play good defense, and we got to execute on offense. And it kind of sounds like coaches talk, but that's how it is every week. Every week it doesn't change. I mean, you got to play really good on special teams, execute offense, execute defense, take care of the ball. And that's the things we preach. These games, they're easier as a coach because your kids are. I mean, we got a good group, but they're going to play hard regardless, and it's proven. But at the same time, we know they're excited to play. I mean, they know that they have a chance to be 8-0, and they're facing a good team, and so anytime you're in that position, I mean, that's so the things you got to talk to them about is just play how you're supposed to play. Don't get caught up in the moment. And they played like that against Ironton when there's a huge crowd, and they played in some big environments. So a lot of these kids have done that over the course of their career. So I think they understand that, and they're good kids. So I think it's going to be a fun night. I'm excited.
Hey, Coach Luke Sammons of the Cabell Midland Knights is our guest here on the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. And Coach, you mentioned, we keep talking about these big games that you guys have played in already. You guys played Musselman last week. You mentioned the Ironton game over in Jones C. Edwards Stadium. You played GW week 1. So you guys have played great competition thus far. If you were to look at Hurricane on paper and on film, who resembles the most to what Hurricane does this year from a team that you guys have already played?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're all different. I thought Musselman last week had some good front six. I think Ironton had some explosive players and some good D linemen. They were solid everywhere. They were good. And, Spring Valley had some good kids, and they were tough. GW had some explosive kids, and they're always good. So it's hard to compare. They're all different, but at the same time, they got some really good linemen, and quarterbacks Division I, and they got some good receivers and good DBs and good running back, and they're a good football team. So anytime you face a good football team, and that's why it's an exciting game. That's why you're excited. That's why we're talking now, and I feel like that. That's why our kids are excited. We're going to play a good football team at their place, and it's a great opportunity for our program and kids. And it's the next game, and it's a big game, and they know that as well, and they feel the same way.
Let's talk personnel for you guys. Let's start at the quarterback position. Robert Shockey, who's having a fantastic season for you guys this year. When you look at where he's developed and grown from where he was week 1, or even you could take us back to the offseason even, where are you seeing him make that biggest stride in his game as he continues throughout the rest of this season?
I think, I think he's just getting better every week. I think he's number one. I mean, the best thing about Rob is he's a very, very competitive kid, and he wants to be the best, and he has a strong drive to be successful, and he's a gamer. The ball's in his hands, he's gonna make a play. So that's always great to have, especially with the teams we play, and every week you got a quarterback who can throw and run, and run from 80 yards out or make a big throw. And so I think he's an ultimate team guy. I think he really believes in our kids. I think he believes in his teammates. I really believe that he cares, and I think he's an ultra competitive kid every week. And he thinks he can do it. He believes in himself.
Another guy I want to talk about is Cannon Lewis. We had the chance to look at him a couple weeks ago, and my gosh, he is big. That's all I can say. Like he just looks like a Division I football player. He's going to North Carolina State to play defense for Tony Gibson. When you look at Cannon, what does he bring to this team? Because he's able to play all 3 phases for you guys, it looks like. What does he bring in totality for this year's team?
No, I think he's a really good leader, exceptional leader. I think he's really improved on his leadership, this year. And, just like Ironton, I think he had 25 tackles against a good football team all over the field. And, he's D1, so, Power 5 school. And, if you have that ability, and he's 225 and runs a 4.6 or something like that. So, and he's very tough, so loves the game, studies the game, knows all the calls, makes a lot of adjustments for us on the field. So he's like having a coach out there. And, he's lifting weights now. I mean, so he he takes each day like it's, you know, an opportunity to get better. You know, he has good practice days like all of our kids, but, you know, football's important to him, and it shows.
So what did you say his height and weight was again?
I think he's like 6'3", 225.
And he ran a 6'6", 40?
4'6", yeah.
4'6"?
Yeah.
You probably looked at your stopwatch and said,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, we know he's fast, so that's why he's a big kid that can run, and he's tough and he's smart. So that's a great combination.
Another guy before I open the floor up to you, Curtis Jones, another P5 guy going to play at WVU. He's your running back. He can do just about anything, just like Cannon can as well. But when you look at Curtis, a dynamic running back for you guys, what are you liking about his development and growth since he's been a Knight?
He's just a great kid, number one. Great kid, joy to be around, great student. Like, you know, Rob has a 4.0, Kurt has a 4.0, Cannon has a high grades, high academic kids, all three of them. And so number one, they're good students. Kurt's a great kid, like, you know, he's very, just has a great, you know, character, really good teammate, you know, fun to be around. And, you know, to be as good as he is, I mean, he's really good. I mean, he's fast, athletic, and he's tough. I think he's grown a lot from last year. He works hard in the weight room. He's very, and, you know, he has well over 1,000 yards. And, you know, that's what's not even playing. You know, I think he had 1 carry or no carries against South Charleston. I think he had maybe 2 carries against Capital or 3 or something. It wasn't very many. So, in some of the games he hasn't even played a lot. So, but he's over 1,000 yards, but he's fresh and excited about this week. And, you know, he can run and he can score and he's physical. So
I'm going to open the floor up to you now. I know you got a lot of guys you can definitely tip the hat to, but kind of trim it down to a couple of guys that impressed you this season because, again, undefeated. We've talked about 3 guys, but it takes a total team effort. Who are some other guys that have really caught your eye throughout the duration of the season?
Yeah, I mean, another Division I kid is Michael Lunsford. He's a tight end defensive lineman, but he's, to me, the best D lineman in the state. And for 4 years, he's been one of the best, you know, blockers on a run-heavy team. You know, he's a really good blocker. I mean, so he's great. You know, hard to handle anywhere you put him. He's ran the ball some. He's caught the ball some. He can do a little bit of everything, and he's fat. He runs a 4.7 at 260. So he's a good athlete, really good kid. Works extremely hard. And I think he's, if there's a better lineman, I don't know what, you know, he's really good. And you know, Trace Atkins is a senior linebacker. He's playing at a high level. He's a 3-year starter. He brought us out on senior night playing the guitars. That was neat. He's a really good player. Our offensive line has done a great job. You know, we're starting 3 sophomores and 1 junior, and they've done great. You know, they're averaging 40-plus points a game. And Ryder, it starts with Ryder. He's a senior. He's a team captain at center. So he's one, you know, a great leader. And you know, so Branch, he's a senior. He's done really good playing DB. He's done a little bit of everything. He kick return, punt return, defensive back, running back. He's done a great job. You know, he's played a lot of football. And then Landon Nada plays safety. He's done outstanding. You know, he plays safety, running back, slot, kind of like Branch. He can do a lot of different things. Has some good carries, and really good high school football player, kick returner. And then Bowen's a captain, receiver, corner. Been a really good player, great leader, great kid. And then, you know, you got the defense. There's a lot of other kids. You know, Miles has 4 or 5 interceptions. And I think we have a lot of turnovers. And I think Branch, I forget how many off the top of my head, but I know Miles has maybe 4, Branch has 3 or 4. So we have a lot of interceptions. And that starts up front with our D-line, kids like Ruley. He's played a lot of football, and Carson Goo. I think he has a bright future. He's long and athletic, and you know, a lot of those kids are playing. You know, it shows. It starts up front, and then, you know, we got a really good D-line, I feel like, and then our middle guys with Cannon and Trace, and, you know, Kurt plays there some, and then you got different kids, and, you know, Ray's been a 2-year starter. He starts at defense, so we got a lot of kids, and it takes a lot. You know, Tony's kicked well, our kicker. He's kicking it in the end zone consistently now, which is great. So it takes all of them, to be a good football team. That's the hardest thing about coaching football. You can have a couple good kids, so it's hard to mention them all. But, I think on Fridays our goal is to play 30. I told them that in July. We have a group. We got first team, second team. We got some subs. I think last Friday we played 20-some guys on defense. And, we rotate them, the D-line. We keep them fresh. Sometimes we'll have what we consider what we got to have to win the game out there, but they're all capable. And there's some juniors I didn't mention and some other kids. But I feel like it always starts up front. But I'm excited because I feel like we have a good team. And we have some really good players, and we're blessed with that. But I really like the whole team makeup, and it takes a lot of them. It's like fitting a puzzle together, so it's hard, but it's a great thing.
I was going to mention, you even hit the nail on the head. It just seems like you love your team in general. You're just a team guy. You could have gone through the whole roster, and everybody would have popped out at some point.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's hard for me. If you mention Curtis, you got to mention the line. If you mention the line, you got to, so. It's a team sport, and we need them all to play big. Like this week, we need Bone to play big. We need Branch. We need Ray. We need Curtis, Shockey, Keenan. We need them all, and that's how our program is built. It's not, and they know that. They feel that way. The best kids practice just as hard as the kids who might not be playing as many reps, and so that's how our program is built. It's about us, not about me, and I think they know that. They know that evidently, but that we believe in it. If a kid needs a break, we got guys who's ready to play for him. So I think collectively we got a really good football team, but it starts with the team concept.
A couple more for you, and I appreciate your time, but talk to me about that special moment that you guys had back on Capitol. I don't want to give too much away because I know that was really special to you all. Kind of give the audience a perspective of that really special moment that you guys gave a young student athlete. Yeah, Noah, he came out for football this summer and wanted to be a part of the team. Then he started practicing with the team some, and Noah, the kids love Noah, and Noah, we've been practicing some plays with Noah, and he does all the drills with us in practice. He's always with me, and he loves the football team. He says it's his favorite year ever, and that's what it's about, even every kid on our team, the experience and having them be a part of something that's bigger than just Cabell Midland or bigger than, what we're doing. It's not about me, it's about us, like I mentioned. But ultimately, Noah had a great time, and he scored a touchdown, and it was a great moment for Noah. So now he wants 2, he said. But that's neat for him, but that's neat for all of our kids to know that everybody has an opportunity in our program, and the kids love Noah, and Noah's a great kid, and he works really hard, and he deserves that too. So I think it's kind of shows what type of kids we have, and we care about them, and I think it shows. And then finally, again, year 12 for you on the sidelines here at Cabell Midland. I know we did this in our 40-yard dash video, but for people that did not see that, I want to ask you again, because I think you have a really great answer to this. How are you different from where you were year 1 to now being in year 12? Yeah, I think a lot of, sometimes I'll mention to the coaches that, from experience or whatever. So I think experience matters, but you always got to learn. Some years that, you think but you don't, and that's why you figure things out. So I think ultimately you try to develop every year, and every team is different, number one. Every team is different, and every year is different, and the teams you play are different. So you got to adapt, and scheme-wise, same thing. You can't just stay the same. And I think in 2019 we were running option at a high level, and we lost maybe 2 games in 3 years. And then people really started defending us better, so we have to adapt and change. So it's always adapting, it's always changing, but I think you got to stay true to who you are. I think hard work, the relationships, caring about each other, being the team concept, all those things will never change. I think that's the main thing in life and in football, and I think, that still works. You don't have to. It's always going to be hard. It's not going to be perfect. This Friday's not going to be perfect. It's going to be hard. But when things, aren't going well, we got something to hang our hat on, and our foundation's built strong. So, I feel good about this Friday. I feel good about every Friday. So it's just because of those things, and that's what we put our program in, and that's what we stand for. And I think ultimately that's what's changed is I think you learn to adapt.
but at the same time, you stay true to who you are.
Well, Coach, best of luck on Friday and best of luck the rest of the way, the remainder of this season and for years to come. So I appreciate your time, appreciate the insight, and again, best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Up next, we'll look at the weekend slate here for Week 8 of the high school football season, and we'll do that on the other side of this break. This is the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook.
Hi, this is JJ Roberts from Huntington, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that thundering herd pride at your local Parmar stores. We are over 200 stores strong and growing. Download the Parmar app for even more savings and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Whether it's food, gas, or groceries, we have you covered. We are Marshall and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
In an ever-changing world, one thing you can always count on is Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Hurricane. You know, Gene and Ryan built their business the old-fashioned way by making friends. There are no gimmicks or games at Walker, just honest, fair deals, and their method is so straightforward it may shock you. Friendly service and a huge selection of inventory with more arriving daily. When you're ready for your next vehicle, take the short 20-minute drive from Charleston or Huntington to Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, just off the Hurricane exit of I-64. Walker Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, making friends one deal at a time.
Final segment here of the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. I appreciate Coach Luke Sammons for joining me in our previous segment. A lot of information, a lot of insight involving this Friday night's matchup against the Hurricane Redskins. We'll get to that game here in just 1 second. But again, special thanks to Coach Sammons for his time as he is busy, along with all my other guests during the high school football season. But without further ado, let's talk about our Week 8 slate involving teams in this region. And the graphic is now thrown up on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. And we'll start here in Kanawha County as the Spring Valley Timberwolves will take on the Capital Cougars for the 15th meeting all-time. Spring Valley has won the last 9 meetings against Capital, and the Timberwolves lead the all-time series 9-5. Staying in Kanawha County as the George Washington Patriots will welcome the St. Albans Red Dragons to Steve Edwards Senior Field for the 43rd meeting all-time between these two schools. GW leads the all-time series 25-17, and the Patriots have won 19 of the last 21 matchups against St. Albans. Going to Putnam County for the matchup that we've been talking about throughout the duration of the show, the Hurricane Redskins will welcome the Cabell Midland Knights in what should be a top 10 matchup according to the SSAC playoff ratings. This will be the 20th meeting all-time between the Redskins and the Knights. Cabell Midland leads the series 13-6. However, Hurricane won last season's meeting against Cabell Midland. However, again, Midland has won 3 of the last 5 meetings against Hurricane. Going to Wood County now as the defending Class AAA state champion Huntington Highlanders will travel to Wood County to take on the Parkersburg Big Reds for the 28th all-time meeting. Huntington has won 12 of the last 13 matchups against Parkersburg, and the Highlanders have won 19 straight regular season games dating back to last year. So the state's longest winning streak on the line this weekend in Wood County. Going back to Kanawha County now, as the South Charleston Black Eagles will welcome the Riverside Warriors, and it will be the 25th all-time meeting between these two schools. Riverside has won 3 of the last 4 games against SC. However, South Charleston leads the all-time series 14-10. Staying in Kanawha County, as Nitro will welcome the Logan Wildcats for the 13th all-time meeting. The series is tied at 6, and Logan has won 3 of the last 4 meetings. Nitro will also remember and welcome back members of the 1998 Class AAA state championship team that was led by J.R. House, and which was a thriller matchup in the state title game against the Morgantown Mohegans. So the 1998 team will be recognized on Friday night at Underwood Field. Going back to Putnam County, as the Winfield Generals will welcome the Sissonville Indians, and it will be the 40th meeting all-time between these two. The Generals have won the last 5 meetings against the Indians, and they lead the all-time series 23-16. And finally, the Tulsa Rebels will welcome the Buffalo Bison, as Buffalo is still searching for that first victory of the season. It will be the 7th meeting all-time between Tulsa and Buffalo. That series is tied up at 3, and Buffalo has won the last 3 games against the Rebels. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebooks. Again, special thanks to Luke Sammons, the head football coach of the Cabell Midland Knights, in what should be a great, great game over in Putnam County on Friday evening between the Redskins and the Knights. So go catch all that coverage and much more on Friday night just by simply going to WVGazetteMail.com. That's WVGazetteMail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Taylor_Kennedy7 for all the latest about this show. and much more going on across the Kanawha Valley. Follow the Gazette Mail Sports Twitter page just by simply look Gaz Mail Sports. That's G-A-Z Mail Sports. That's G-A-Z Mail Sports. And that'll do it for me for this edition of the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. I will see you all next week. Stay safe and have a great week as we are here for Week 8 of the high school football season here across the Mountain State. Stay safe, and I'll see you all next week.